good afternoon. I'm Marianne Sasaki. You're watching Life in the Law, as is always on Wednesdays between 1 and 2 on Think Tech Hawaii. Thanks for joining us. I'm very interested in my guest today. We met actually at the caucus, and the Democratic caucus, and we became friends, and we were both nominated to be delegates at the convention. And he went to the convention, but I didn't go. So what happened at the Democratic convention, the state convention, that I need to know about?
So, well, there was a lot going on at the state convention. Some of the primary things, of course, were the election for the new Democratic Party chair of
Tim
Hawaii.
Vanderveer?
Yes, so Tim Vanderveer was elected as the new party chair for Hawaii. There was also different committees where they had certain measures that they were trying to pass, and then if people wanted to debate certain issues, they could.
Right.
So there's a platform committee, a rules committee, and a resolutions committee.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of the major standout things that were happening on the committee levels. With the platform committee, there was a piece about home rule for the different counties in Hawaii, and a lot of the progressives that were in attendance at the convention were trying to get the counties the ability to have home rule. And
but it didn't prevail?
No, that ended up, technically it needed to be filed as a minority report, which means they would have had, I believe they would have had to have filed it 2 days in advance.
Oh, okay.
To have it be allowed to be debated on the floor.
Right.
So it ended up being striked out for debate on the floor. So that was like kind of a loss on the first day for a lot of people from what it seemed, because a lot of the counties have concerns about use of GMOs and that kind of thing. So that that's still a point of contention, I think, especially for the neighbor island people. The second day for the rules committee, there was a rule that was going through that they were trying to make it so we couldn't have same-day registration for the primaries.
Really?
Yes, and the original proposal was to have it so people would have to register 3 months in advance.
That doesn't seem very democratic.
No, it's not. You could definitely exclude some people from the process that way.
Absolutely.
Right, and people, especially in in Hawaii, they're not in tune as much with what may be happening, like with the media cycle, until maybe a few weeks out, kind of thing. And then they had proposed doing it 2 weeks in advance to have people register, and so that piece was pulled out to be debated on the floor. And so luckily we were able to make it so people can still register the same day.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Yeah,
because I think that's the most reflective of the general population. People, I think the more restrictions you put on voting, we're in the same political camp. So our very left political camp suffers, I think, if there's restrictions on voting. So that's great. So you had a great time?
Yeah, no, I definitely learned a lot. There's a lot happening. Just the process altogether, it's been a huge learning experience for sure. Going into the caucus back in March, I didn't totally realize what the process was for selecting delegates and positions for the precincts and the district levels. It's kind of fate, I guess, that I ended up getting a delegate position at the caucus.
Well, I would say it was partly fate and partly force of your personality. I don't,
maybe a little bit.
We all spoke to each other, and you spoke to a lot of people, and the people that did vote did get to know you. So, are you going to continue to participate, do you think, in local politics?
I think so. I've always been very interested in politics, and I've always been very vocal, about how I feel about certain things. I mean, I think it's important that, my generation is very active and participating, because, I think that there's a lot of things that end up getting passed where people don't even realize what's happening.
Right.
And I'll admit, before this past year, I didn't realize that superdelegates were even a thing.
Right.
I don't think that people have been as actively involved in a primary the way that they have been until now. I mean,
well, not for a long time. Not
yeah,
since before you were born.
Yeah, it could have been happening in the past.
I remember one hotly contested primary between Jimmy Carter and Edward Kennedy. That was a hotly contested primary. But yes, that's right. Typically, although I'd say the Obama Clinton was that was a horse race too.
There was definitely a lot of back and forth happening with that. I think I was 18 at the time when that was going on. Right. So there's all kinds of other stuff going on for me at that time.
I understand.
Too. Yep.
So now we were both Bernie supporters when we met, and I'm still a Bernie supporter, as you're still a Bernie supporter. However, I have to say, in all honesty, I do think that it's time for him to make some kind of deal, so that he can promote our agenda. I mean, I'd like to see our agenda continue. Right. I mean, it's too important an agenda for it to be just tucked away, and I'm not really sure how he should do that, or if he can even do that. So, I mean, from your perspective, where do you see him going? Like, do you see him going to the convention, or what's your insight there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, according to what he said on MSNBC yesterday, we're taking it to Philadelphia, and that's the plan. It's interesting, with what's going on with Clinton, how, I mean, there's still the FBI investigation kind of hanging over her head. It seems like Obama has kind of like stalled that a little bit.
You think so?
I don't know. I'm skeptical of the whole process with what's happening there. But I have no doubts that he's going to go to Philadelphia and have it be a contested convention.
Really? That's interesting, because I don't think so. I think that he's going to wait till after Washington. I just have a feeling, because the president's meeting with him, and I think that people are putting pressure, great pressure on him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, I think,
True.
Because Washington, D.C. is not a good... That's not a good primary for him. That's not going to end well for him, probably. So,
chances are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him use his strength at this point to get a deal of some kind, have power in the administration in some way. I doubt Hillary Clinton will pick him for vice president. But
yeah, I don't see that.
I don't see that either. I don't see that. But it would. What would be his plan if he were to get to the convention? His plan would be to convince the superdelegates to move to Bernie's side?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, from now until then, his game plan is to convince the superdelegates that he is the most electable candidate in a general election, which, the polls indicate. And, I would like to see him still take it to Philadelphia.
Well, you're an alternate delegate.
Well, yeah. I guess I have a vested interest there.
But if he, okay, so what? I don't know about the process. So what in the event that he does step down? Do you still go to Philadelphia? Do you go to Philadelphia in your alternate capacity? If you do go in your alternate capacity, do you then go and vote Clinton, or what happens? Do you know?
That's an excellent question, and I'm not sure how that works. I'm still getting a lot of information about just how the alternate delegate position works in its own, even if it was still contested. If one of the candidates dropped out, I'm not totally sure how that would work. From what I understand, I'm able to access the floor as an alternate delegate. I may not be able to get to the same area where the active delegates are, but I should be able to at least go into the convention area.
So you're definitely planning on going. Yeah, I mean, you have you're definitely planning on going. As an alternate, you can attend. You don't have to wait for somebody like a delegate to not attend, or you can just attend as an alternate.
So yeah, so I'm still getting information on that. I've heard that sometimes it depends on how large of a space
Okay.
they actually
Well, that makes
have,
sense,
yeah,
too.
for the convention
Sure.
itself, to where they determine, are they going to let the alternates into the hall? Are they going to let them sit with the delegation? That kind of thing. Because I mean, preferably, I'd like to sit with the Hawaii delegation.
Sure.
If somebody is to not attend from the Bernie side, then I would, be the next runner-up for that, because I'm the one alternate. There's only one.
Oh,
alternate.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's unlike the other. The state convention process was a little bit different.
Right. Yeah. Because at the state convention level, yeah, I mean there is 10 alternates for each district at least, pretty much.
Right. Right.
So, I haven't booked my flight to Philadelphia yet. I'm waiting to figure. I'm waiting to figure out.
Optimistic.
Yeah, I'm waiting to figure out how much I'll be able to actively participate, because they're estimating that the cost is somewhere between $2,500 and $4,000.
Oh, all in?
Yeah,
Oh,
to
wow.
go, because the convention itself is from the 25th of July through the 29th. So you figure you got hotel costs, flight costs,
Right.
food, transportation while you're there.
But isn't it all worth it? It seems like it'd be worth it for me. I think it'd be really fun. I would, if I could take off of work, I would go. I'm going to take a quick break,
Oh, yeah.
and we're going to come back and we're going to join Michael. We're going to ask him about Donald Trump.
Oh, geez.
Hi, I'm Keali'i Akina, president of the Grassroots Institute. I'd love you to join us every week, Mondays at 2 o'clock p.m. for E Hanakako. Let's work together. We report every week on the good things going on in our state, as well as the better things that can go on in the future. We have guests covering everything from the economy, the government, and society. See you Mondays on E Hanakako at 2 o'clock p.m. Until then, I'm Keali'i Akina. Aloha.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage, which is on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock here on Think Tech. On Center Stage, I talk with artists about not only what they do and how they do it, but the meat of the conversation for me is why they do it, why we go through this. A lot of us are not making our livings doing this, and a lot of us would do this with our last dying breath if we had that choice. And that's what I love to talk to people about. I hope you enjoy watching it, and I hope you get inspired, because there's an artist inside you too. Join us on Center Stage at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays. Bye.
Hi, I'm Marianne Sasaki. You're watching Life in the Law. I'm delighted to have Mike Angelidis, a fellow liberal Democrat, with me, and we're discussing the future and discussing, is Bernie going to stay until the convention, or Mike thinks so. I think he'll succumb, but I hope he makes a great deal, because the revolution that he started, the movement he started, is very, very important, and these are fundamental rights that he's fighting for, and we need to think and understand them as fundamental rights. The right to an education, the right to health care,
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we can have a little more fun, and we can talk, well, although it used to be fun, now it's just scary,
Right.
the Donald Trump situation. And how do you think that's going to play out? What's your...
Oh, man. The phenomenon of Donald Trump just is crazy to me, and it's crazy that he's got to where he's at. Man.
What about his impact on the Republican Party? I mean, he's kind of shredding the Republican Party to bits, sort of.
Yeah, it seems like the Republican Party as a whole has gone completely off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what's kind of happened with the Republican Party falling apart is in the Democratic Party. You have more conservatives now, where they see people like a Donald Trump, and they're like, no, I don't want to be I don't want to be associated with that at all.
Right.
So then they go to the Democratic Party.
Right.
So then I think that's kind of more so why you see this year where there's this shift where you have the people on the Bernie side where they're way far left, and then on the Clinton side where they're more conservative. I mean, there was one of the people that was running for party chair at the Hawaii Democratic Convention. he was a McCain supporter in '08.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
And
interesting.
he got
Well,
over 200 delegate votes, which blew my mind.
I'm
so
not surprised because, when the Clintons were in office, when Bill Clinton was in office and Hillary Clinton was First Lady, I had just gotten out of law school at that time, and they were incredibly conservative. I mean, they did this thing called triangulation where they tried to make a point between both parties, and they're not liberals. By any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I always think of Hillary Clinton as like an imperialist, hawkish, president. But I mean,
not yet. It hasn't happened yet.
no, it hasn't happened yet.
It's not a thing yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I give you that. I give you that.
right.
Although I have to say, I'm pretty convinced. Let me tell you something. I'm not even worried about the nomination. I'm worried about the race. I mean, because the amount of people that Donald Trump has gotten to come out of the woodwork for him, and the beliefs they espouse are just
Right.
contrary to sort of the basic precepts of this country. And now it seems apparently that it's okay to spout this racist junk.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like we've taken a couple steps backwards. With him existing.
Well, there is a
basically.
whole swath of the population that the government has failed, education has failed.
Right.
But I don't understand is why are these people supporting a billionaire businessman? I mean, Bernie Sanders also has the interests of those people in mind.
Right.
That's exactly the people's that he has in mind, the people that have been left behind by the economy and haven't been able to get a decent education, can no longer have a middle class life. And when I just don't understand the attraction to a celebrity billionaire businessman and
Right.
identification with him. I find that very confusing and perplexing.
I read an article just the other day about authoritarianism and how people who believe that we should exercise strong authority in droves are drawn to Donald Trump.
Right.
And I think that's pretty much like the unifying kind of trait of Trump supporters. They want somebody that is
Has an iron fist.
hard nosed, and he's gonna say what he thinks because that's how they want to be, and
Right.
it's
I did actually a commentary for this station whereby I compared Trump to the fascists of the 30s and 40s.
I saw that.
And I think the comparison is so stark. I mean, it's so clear that it's the same kind of blueprint. And I remember as a kid thinking, how could people like this have possibly come to power? And now I'm seeing it happening again with large groups of disaffected people, a bad economy, rampant racism and anti-ethnicism, and just it's frightening. I think it's frightening. You know.
It's crazy.
I'm wholly, as a New York liberal, I was wholly unprepared for this. I lived in a nice little cosseted world in New York where everybody was liberal and now the whole country, New York went for Donald Trump. New York, voted Donald Trump. They didn't even vote for a moderate Republican. So it's mind-boggling what he's been able to accomplish.
You know what was really surprising to me, though, about the Republican side of the race is how few votes John Kasich got.
I agree.
Because
I thought New York would go for him.
I mean, he was the only one that
He's the McCain-type candidate.
I suppose. But, I mean, to me, he was the only one that seemed, like, level-headed and,
Right.
Actually had, clear, like a clear platform of
Right.
what he was about and,
Right.
how he would do things. And
And he had working class roots, and
Right.
he's very popular among that segment of the population in his own state. But I guess the American public is very, very naive, and it's easy to hoodwink the American public. I mean, I think we're so used to watching these these escapades, these stunts on TV, reality shows, and so on. And we're watching now the fate of our country portrayed almost as a reality show.
It's
and,
like, yeah.
Yeah, and even the Clinton Sanders race, people treat it like it's a reality. It's not a reality show. It's real. It's real people's real lives are at stake. You know, this is not just. Oh, I like him better. So whatever happens, I'm not going to vote for her. Or, I really have no. I have no stomach for that. I am a Democrat, so maybe a lot of people who support Sanders weren't formally Democrats, but I just think the position of, if he doesn't win, I'm not going to vote for anybody. I just think that's a terrible position to take. I really do. Do you have that position? I mean, you can if you want to. It's
Right.
It's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to see what happens after July.
You're holding hope. Hope springs
Yeah,
eternal.
I'm a through and through optimist. So I hoping things work out in the favor of the real
Right.
progressives.
I thought, California was a big. I was hoping for Bernie Sanders to win California because I think that would have been a tremendous statement. And I'm surprised he lost by as much as he did because he did so well in the western states. He did so well here in Hawaii.
Right.
So you'd think that, in these progressive states he would have won. But, she's a force for 20 years too. So, she's not unlike Donald Trump in that way. She's a celebrity, and people know who
Right.
she is. And
Yeah.
she uses the media in the same sort of way,
Exactly. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine this morning about that because, we were like, what happened? Like, how did this happen? Regarding the California election. And, for, people, for some of the older people, it might be just name recognition.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And, if you watch MSNBC, CNN, it's totally pro-Hillary from day one.
But, I understand that. I don't agree so much with it because I watch MSN almost exclusively, and I understand why people think it's totally pro-Hillary. Certain people are. Chris Matthews certainly is.
Right.
But I'll tell you something. A lot of women my age want to see a woman president. I mean, I think they feel like we fought such a long time, and we're in so few of us in leadership positions, so few of us in government, that this is an extraordinarily important historical event, and we're, despite some, the email issues and other issues, takes precedence. That's so important. And I have to say, I kind of feel that way. I mean, I was for Sanders, and I am for Sanders, but now the contemplating the possibility of a woman president, it's very, it makes me,
It's a paradigm shifter.
Yeah, right, yeah. And, and how is Bill Clinton going to be, it's just going to change. It's a paradigm shifter. Everything is going to have to be changed. Everything that we, all the ways we looked at the presidency and all the ways we looked at the first spouse are going to be different, and new rules will have to be made. So hopefully, if new rules will have to be made, Bernie Sanders' rules will be able, I hope he remains a force in the government because he's too valuable to lose. I mean,
Right. And I think that there's a lot of significant change that has already been happening.
I think that's right.
And, there's a lot of people who have become so much more active than they were in the past.
Right.
And, again, I was watching MSNBC last night, and, Rachel Maddow was on there and talking about how this army of Bernie supporters has only one mission, and it's to get him in office.
I
which
didn't
is
agree with that.
Absolutely not true.
I saw that too. I
Absolutely
saw
not
Rachel
true.
Maddow too, and I just totally disagreed. In fact, in my view, our mission was a much larger mission than getting him into office.
Right.
It was a revolution in the United States, and
Right.
it was a people's revolution, right? I mean, yeah, I took issue with that.
I was yelling at my TV.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, propaganda.
I think Steve Schmidt might have said something that at this point he only has one direction or something like that, and they were discussing that, well, maybe he'll be able to take a step back, but as of now, this is what his goal is. But that's not his goal. his goal is freedom and civil rights for people and economic rights for people.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that does him a disservice to. I think he'd be happy with someone else in the White House if that person propelled his agenda.
Right.
If there was if his agenda was getting fulfilled, I don't know that he's so. You get the feeling with Hillary Clinton, she always wanted to be president, right?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, for her,
But
it definitely seems like an ego thing.
Right.
Whereas, yeah.
Right. So, but him, he's really started this revolution, and it's important to keep the momentum up. So, well, we'll definitely keep up the momentum to the convention, and then it'll be interesting to see what happens at the convention. Was there a lot of fighting at the state convention? Did people go back and forth, or how did they handle that kind of thing there?
I mean, it's Hawaii, so it was nowhere near,
Was
the
as contentious.
Nevada kind of situation. People were, very respectful of each other, and there's only a couple kind of snide comments back and forth here and there. I saw there was a guy sitting next to me at one of the tables, and he was a Hillary supporter, and mentioned to one of the Bernie tables about how, it's going to be over in 8 days anyways. I don't see why you guys care. And it's like, well, hold on a minute.
I know. I wouldn't give up the ship either. I have a lot of hope for the movement that Bernie Sanders has started. I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to thank Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike Angelidis, for coming.
Yeah,
It was
thanks-
a delight
thanks for
meeting you.
having
It was
me.
so great.
Yeah.
And boy, we're excited to see what's going to go on in the next couple of months. You're watching Life in the Law, Wednesdays 1 to 2, Think Tech Hawaii. I'll see you next time.